Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a new game of StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. Today we're gonna take a look at a game that I have played, I believe, yesterday or the day before that. And it's going to be a Zerg versus Protoss on Mutalisk, where obviously right now it is actually a forced cross-spawn positioning because, well, they changed it up a little bit since the original Mutalisk days. Now, today I sadly don't have time to record a second video, so I figured I'm gonna go, at the very least, with a StarCraft 2 video, and let's go with a little bit of game analysis as well, so you guys have actually something to be working on as well, while I'm only uploading one video in one day. I know that I've been uploading 2 videos for a little while right now, and it's been really awesome, I gotta be honest. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I hope you guys have been enjoying it well. But today, there's only gonna be one video, simply for the fact that I've been working on the LowkoTV website, so I hope to be introducing that one to you guys very soon. But in the meantime, we're gonna take a look at a Zerg versus Protoss. Now, for those of you that have been watching the live stream, you will be aware that I have been challenging myself a little bit in the current season, okay? I've been deciding to play only unranked for the rest of the season because of the current map pool, and I've also decided to basically take on lame challenges. And in the last couple of days, the one challenge that I've been mostly focusing on is playing Mutalisk Bane every game. And the simple reason for that is because it rhymes. No, but like the real reason is that it's just a lot of fun to match around with, and Mutalisk Bane is one of these compositions that you can play in every single matchup, but you just need to be very careful. And honestly, in Zerg vs Protoss, if my opponent does a really good 2-base all-in, I am really gonna have to have some roaches or hydras in there, so I basically put myself behind right from the get-go, but hey, it's a lot of fun. So, in this game, I do also decide to go for Mutalisk Bane game, Mutalisk Bane play, there we go. In this game, it is also gonna be a little bit rough. Now, in this game, most specifically, what we're gonna be focusing on is the fact that sometimes you have the tendency to leave a game early when it really isn't necessary, okay? And I'm guilty of this myself as well. Sometimes I do leave a game a little bit before it is really necessary, simply for the fact because I feel like it's over and I very likely won't be able to win anymore. But sometimes, like in this game, you do manage to get back into it just because your opponent made a mistake, or because your opponent is caught off guard, or because you just managed to hit like a really nice thing on the gold base, for example, and your opponent doesn't scout it until a little bit too late. And sometimes you just have a good moment going and you can come back even though you are pretty far behind. That's exactly what this game is all about. So you can see me open up right there with a hatchery first, into a spawning pool and into a gas geyser as well, and I'm scouting around my main, or my opponent's main base, and checking out what is going on. Now, the first thing I noticed right there is that there's only one gas geyser taken, which isn't the biggest of deals, honestly, but I do need to make sure that my opponent does take a natural. If he doesn't take a natural right now, he really only has one option to go for, and that would very likely be like a 4-gate off of one base, which is really the only strategy that he can go for. Now, I do see right here that my opponent goes for the warp gate upgrade, which you can see by the little dials turning on the cybernetics core. You can also see that it's chrono boosting out a mothership core, and I know for a fact by playing a little bit of Protoss that he won't be able to like make a stalk or anything for a little while longer, so I'm leaving my my overload in his main base for a bit longer than I usually would. In the meantime, I'm scouting around and notice, okay, natural is taken. He is also taking the second gas geyser in his main base. And in the meantime, I started up Zergling speed and a whole bunch more drones. And that's really the one thing that I'm going to be focusing on. Drones and drones and drones and drones, just as many as I possibly can. And that is always the one way you can really always win with Zerg, is if you manage to figure out to make as many drones as you possibly can without dying. Now, I am gonna have to focus pretty hard though, because like I mentioned, if my opponent goes for a 2-base all-in, which is definitely still a possibility, I do have a lot of trouble defending that with only Zerglings and Mutas, because Mutas won't be out at that time, and you know, I can make some spine crawlers, obviously, that isn't really part of the challenge, but I do need to be very, very careful in these sort of situations, because it is gonna be simply very difficult if my opponent goes for like an Immortal Zealot push or something like that for me to stop it, and it might very well be impossible, but hey. I haven't actually faced that yet on the ladder, but hey. Alright, so I'm just making more and more drones. Did take my third right there, gotta take some extra gas, or actually no, that was just a, wait, what did I do? I wasn't even supply block right there, was I? Maybe my overload popped a little bit later than I planned to, but whatever. Do decide to take one more gas geyser right there, and I'm slowly but surely gonna tech up towards a lair tech to be able to start, you know, the Mutalisk, and I also want to start some pretty quick +1/+1 upgrades on my Zerglings, because I really need to see those. So far, I noticed that my opponent didn't have like any super quick gateways or something like that. Warp gate only just now finished up, 7 minutes into the game. That is not really not really the biggest of deals. He can definitely still be going for some standard macro off of this. And I do decide to take the double evolution chamber right now before going up against the lair. Simply for the fact that my opponent is likely going to be focusing on things like stalkers and whatnot, which I would not be surprised about. However, very, very soon you will see where this game goes wrong, okay? I make a big round of workers right now, thinking that I can easily drone up my third base, but, well, long and behold, we're actually gonna take a look at the everyone cam. Look what he made right here in the corner of the map without me seeing it. Right here in the corner of, you know, I guess you could call this the close ground positions. My opponent put up a pylon and he managed to actually sneak that probe out without me noticing about it. Even though I have like Zerglings right here. He probably just hugged the wall right here and I just barely didn't get vision of it. Rookie mistake right there by my, but yeah, whatever. So I do get my lair going right now, got my +1/+1 incoming as well, and in the meantime, my opponent is going to be warping in a bunch of zealots at that pylon that he created earlier. I am, however, making a lot of Zerglings, but I will be able to spot them, well, when they're already in my base. So there you go, you can actually see them on the production tab. He warped in a bunch of zealots right there, and very quickly is going to run them across the map. Now, in the meantime, he's trying to take a third base. So I'm like, okay, I will take the watchtowers, and I will do a little bit of poking to make sure that the third base doesn't go up uncontested. And in the meantime, I'm gonna get some more gases up, I'm gonna get some more drones, macro hatchery, everything that I need, right? So I'm checking right here, like, okay, nothing to be spotted. I got full map control during the entirety of this game, so I feel in a great position right now. However, well, we can take a look at it once more. My opponent just simply is warping in more and more zealots right there, and he's only just now gonna use them to attack. And meanwhile, my Zerglings are all the way on the other side of the map. I do decide to start my Spire right there. Also started another gas geyser as well as a Baneling nest just in case. But there we go. I see it on the minimap. I'm like, oh no. Oh no, oh no, my Zerglings need to run all the way from the other side of the map towards this third base, and they're simply not gonna be able to make it in time, especially with the reinforced Zerglings. These zealots are just gonna tear through this, and they will be able to take out the base. Now this is what I'm talking about right here. Most of the time at this point in the game, I'm like, oh no. Come on, I managed to actually lose the third base. That is pretty much game ending in most situations, right? Because my opponent did that really cost efficient. And right now I'm also running around here with my Zerglings, and actually I'm checking pretty much every single corner except this little tiny bit right here where the pylon is actually placed. I'm like checking every little bit, even going into the like the smoking area right there, checking on the low ground. No pylons to be seen, but he's actually just barely out of vision range right there. And I also don't scout that thing, so I'm like, well, you know, this game is pretty much over. And I actually said that on the live stream as well. I said, okay, I think I have lost this game right now. I might as well just leave the game right now. But, you know, I do decide to take a little bit of a risk and go for a double expense. So I do decide to take the gold base as well as the third base while tacking up towards my Mutas. And there we go. Got my Mutas already out, or already in production right now. And I'm checking, okay, and I see my opponent did go for the third base, and I want to try my very best to cancel this thing out. However, my opponent is gonna try and go for the surround right here, and actually surround his army with a bunch of force fields. I do try my very best right here to kill as much as I possibly can, but looks like it's really not getting too much done. I am gonna run away from there again, and I lost a lot of drones, not getting a whole lot of done. Now, in the meantime, though, my Mutalisk are out. And Mutalisk are one of these units that Protosses cannot deal with. Like, if you manage to get a maxed amount of Mutas, the Protoss player is pretty much dead, because they simply don't have a counter to it, other than, like, mass Stalkers, but if they, like, or other than, like, mass Phoenix, but if they focus too much on Phoenix, well, they will just sort of get overrun by Zergling. So, most of the time, when you do go for a Mutalisk, and you do get a bunch of them out, and you do get, like, 8 gas going, you have pretty much won the game, because Protosses cannot really stop it. But either way, I'm just gonna make more and more Mutas. I'm also gonna make a bunch more drones, gonna get my gold base going, transfer some of the work is actually over there so I can take benefit of the extra income, and I'm just gonna keep on going with more and more and more Mutalisk. I really don't want to stop doing anything making Mutas and drones, simply for the fact that I know that that is really my only chance at this point of winning. Now, as you can see, at this point in the game, the supplies are pretty much even, right? My opponent is doing a little bit more aggression. I do decide to use the extra energy on my queen to transfuse the hatchery right there. And, you know, I will be able to find this proxy pylon eventually, but one of these things right here. Now, I already looked around in the bottom left corner. I was like, wait, where did he put it? Because I really checked pretty much everywhere except for that one dark little corner where he did place down the proxy pylon right now. Now, I do see a bunch of free Stalkers right here, which is sweet. That is actually one way to get back into this, is when my opponent does give me free units like that. And I noticed that my opponent is actually moving across the map. Now, he doesn't have a whole lot, and he decides to teleport home pretty much instantly. I do find the proxy pylon after all, and I am still just making non-stop Mutalisk. And at this point I got 8 gas geysers, which is great for me because it means that I can just simply outproduce him. And him giving me a bunch of free units every now and then definitely does give me a nice little way to get back into this. Now, like I said, whenever you are making 8 gas Mutas, your opponent will have an extremely hard time stopping it, because even if he goes for, like, you know, a move to my side of the map, I will just simply counterattack and likely kill him faster than he can kill me. And that is the big strength of Mutalisk. Do decide to switch up my army right now. I'm gonna attack up to a hive, and I'm also gonna go for Ultralisk Cavern, but I'm gonna poke with the main, or with my Mutas inside of the main base, and my Zerglings are potentially going towards the third if I see fit. So right now, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to use my forces in the best possible way, so I can actually try and squeeze out a victory right here. Now, he's giving me a bunch of free stalkers right there. You see that? That is pretty huge. My opponent's actually only sending a bunch of stalkers, and once again, if you have a big amount of Mutas, you can just sort of pick these off. At this point, I am taking out most of his anti-air without really losing very many Mutas at all, simply because of the sheer amount that I do have. Gonna send my Zerglings, however, towards the natural, and I'm gonna try and get those inside of the main base as well, because at that point, it is extremely difficult for him to get anything done, and my opponent does decide to leave the game. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep in mind that whenever you are behind, just try and play a little bit greedy, and sometimes you can squeeze out a victory, like I managed to do in this one. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.